There are generally two types of people in the world, a Samsung person or an Apple person. And each of these two brands have its own unique personalities, and one often judges the other. And these two giant cell phone companies have been competing against each other since the last decade and have been consistently the top two companies in the world in terms of smartphone market share. Now, in 2016, however, this giant South Korean company Samsung shocked the world with their incident of the Galaxy Note 7. As shown in the picture, the phone experienced an internal battery failure that caused the phone to explode. Now, how did this happen and what impact did this have on the phone company and the consumers? Hello, classmates and professor. My name is Shay, and I'm here with my group mates, Joanna and Lulu, to present to you the infamous product failure of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. First off, let's dive into the company's product lines. Samsung is a multi-billion, multinational South Korean conglomerate company that sells a variety of products across the globe. In just the consumer electronics product line, there are many different product categories, such as tablets, watches, TVs, and so on, as shown on the slide. And the Note 7 we're discussing sits in the Galaxy phone category among the other models. The smartphone segment strategy back in 2016 was definitely to build a preemptive position in the GE McKinsey portfolio analysis. At that time period, the global phone market has been growing exponentially in the last decade, and the company was trying to do two market strategies. First is trying to grow its current user base, and second is trying to steal other brands' user base. And with the Note 7, Samsung has been doing that through benefit differentiation. Over the years, Samsung has done a great job building its brand image and capturing the love from their customer demographics. The key differentiators are their Android operating system, being able to customize the interface that is unique to the user, so it has personality. It's high-tech, best phone in the world, meaning you can't find another phone with a higher spec. It has a high-quality, unique look and feel, and previously they've also had partnerships with Marvel to release an Avengers limited edition series. Talk about having personality. The Note 7 has its basic functionalities, which is a functional phone. The expected benefits were all functionalities from Note 6, and probably expecting something extra. And compared with the other Samsung models, the Note 7 has the pen functionality, the larger screens, the curved edge, which brings customizable widgets and shortcuts. And in addition, the augmented benefits are added features that set itself apart from other brands, which are explained mostly on the next slide. So let's take a look at positioning of the Note 7 against its competitors. The top competitor of all times was Apple with their iPhone 7 Plus. In Q1 of 2016, Samsung's smartphone had a global market share of 23.3%, while Apple just had 15%. In regards to the Apple's iPhone 7 Plus, Samsung is different by the obvious Android operating system, the customization, their different exterior, different back cameras, and there were no significant price differences as these are both high-end phones in the market. It is also more durable because it was the first phone to use Corning Gorilla Glass 5. Now, if only this glass were able to contain the explosion, it will be well worth the investment. Against the other phones in the market at that time, like the LG V20 and the Huawei P9, the Note was positioned to have a high quality, higher price, more durable, better camera and speed, which was faster than their previous models. And in terms of technical specs, the other phone were pretty much the same. And lastly, the Note 7 had a unique exterior no other phones have. So prior to the incident, everything seemed perfect. Customers loved their phones, they had the higher market share. And next up, Lulu will walk through the incident and details of the explosion.
Thank you, Shay. Based on what she's presented to us, the Note 7 was supposed to be one of the very best phones of 2016, but instead it ended up being a complete failure. Let's see what's happened here. In early September, a month after they announced a new product, we got reports of battery failures with the Galaxy Note 7s worldwide, including nearly 100 cases in the US alone. Samsung then announced a complete official recall of all Galaxy Note 7s in the United States. A week later, the old Note 7s being replaced by thousands of new sixth models. Reports started to arise of the same exact failures happened with those replaced phones as well. With customers quickly losing faith in the Note7s, carriers in early October voluntarily offered free returns as exchange for all Note7 and eventually stopped selling this product altogether. Well, I think you may be curious what's happened. Samsung was curious as well. So in order to figure it out, they involved over 700 engineers and getting data from testing 200,000 phones and 30,000 Note7 battery. Few weeks later, Samsung released a report with detailed flaws in battery design and manufacturing that is believed causing this crisis. Definitely the technical issues and lack of QCs are the root cause. There are also few indirect issues leading to the two-time failures of this product. First thing I want to mention is the ignoring and delays. After the first explosion cases was reported in South Korea, Samsung didn't give an official feedback. A week later, another post published in the social medias. However, they just delayed it. If the leadership can pay more attention and do quick response when the first case happened, it may not have the second failures. Second is they are over ambitious. It was Samsung's ambitious to make the Note7 the best Note has ever been. It was Samsung's ambitious to fit a large battery in a slim premium devices, which perhaps the capability wasn't there to make such things reality. When the issue arose, it was Samsung's ambitious to quickly address these issues, identified a means to get the Note7s back on track, and leads to a safe Note7s being released with a battery made by a manufacturer which simply does not have the capability, quality, and process check in place to make these things safely. The last thing I want to talk about is the Korean boom culture. The aversion to accepting blend in Samsung was the highest. It is because many workers in Korea join Samsung with an expectation of lifelong employment. Employees feel like they couldn't really touch the topic for feeling of being branded troublemaker. Therefore, when the first failure happened, no one wants to stand up and take the full responsibility, which directly causing the second failure. In short, Samsung rushed it. They want to make tomorrow's phones today, which is admirable, but the technology wasn't up to it. And when a problem arose, they was too hasty to point it a fix, which probably actually not a fix. Well, let's pass this to Joanna to discuss about the coincidence and the further actions they made to address this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Lulu. Not even a month after the release, there were reports circulating about the devices catching fires. The impact on unit sales quickly showed. Based on a report on the global market share of quarterly smartphone unit sales between the second and fourth quarter of 2016, Samsung's share decreased by 4.2%. Apple seemed to have picked up the share that Samsung lost, and their share increased by 5%. The Note 7 fires did not seem to have a large impact on the S7 sales. There were more sales for the S7 than forecasted, so it seems like a percent of the customers that bought a Note might have exchanged it for an S7, but not enough to stop the market loss. Was there an external factor that inhibited the product's success? It didn't seem like the phone itself would have led to a failure of the product. They had a really solid foundation and very strong features to compete with the iPhone. Samsung took a few precautions in order to recuperate. In early September, Samsung issued a voluntary recall of devices. It recalled 2.5 million Notes and distributed 500,000 replacement units. But replaced phones also had issues with the temperature and were later recalled. 2 months after the initial reports of the incidents, Samsung announced that it would permanently end the production of the Note 7. There was an estimated $5.3 billion in recall costs and predicted lost profits over the next 2 quarters. Samsung held a 50-minute presentation on the findings from its battery fault investigation. The head of mobile sincerely apologized and openly accepted blame. Samsung built a large-scale facility with over 700 engineers to test the batteries on the Note 7. There were a few other actions Samsung took. They unveiled an 8-point plan to ensure that future devices won't catch fire. They also delayed the release of the S8 and the Note 8 to make sure there were no issues with the batteries. In July of 2017, Samsung released a refurbished edition of the Note 7 called the Fan Edition in South Korea. It sold out even though they had already opened Note 8 pre-orders. It seems that Samsung quickly regained the customers' trust and the presentation did its job. So what would we have done differently? We would have definitely product tested prior to the release of the product. The testing was implemented after the explosions. Since the batteries were outsourced to a South Korean manufacturing facility, Samsung should have run some preliminary tests on the batteries with different levels of usage and charging to ensure that it can handle all the upgraded capabilities. Regarding the recalls, they were done quickly and appropriately, but we would not have issued any other replacements. We think it was a good decision to continue with the Note brand. It addressed a different market than their budget lines and their regular lines. The Note targeted a business-oriented consumer. It would have been difficult for Samsung to pick up those consumers, but they also did their due diligence with the Note 8 release. Otherwise, we think Samsung took all the necessary steps to recuperate from this failure and ensure that the trust of customers for their future products. So what happened in Samsung and the Note? Samsung continued with the Note line. The Note 8 actually had the highest number of pre-orders out of any Note phone and was regarded as one of the best phones ever invented. Samsung achieved a 50% increase in profit from 2015 when the Note 7 was released to 2016 when the Note 8 was released, marking it the most profitable year for Samsung's phone division in 3 years. In 2019, Samsung reclaimed its place as the #1 shareholder and in 2020 as well, but there have been some struggles. Huawei increased market share significantly in the past few years, and Samsung has never gone back to the above 20% market share that it once held before the Note 7, but overall, we think they're back to normal. In conclusion, Samsung's aggressive approach to provide a higher performing product than their competitor and their predecessor led to an expensive mistake, but it was not one they weren't able to come back from. With all actions taken, Samsung was able to successfully regain its market share. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We look forward to your questions.